Hi. I know it's been a while since I have done a video, but I figured it was time I needed to talk to you guys again and say hi, let you know how things are going. I wish I could say I'm in a nice peaceful backyard, but I'm not. There's construction going on somewhere and I'm hearing the beeping of trucks and things, so unfortunately it's not as peaceful as I'd like it to be. But this is one of my favorite spots in my yard, is by my pond that my husband and I built 3 Mother Days gifts ago, I think. I don't remember, but I think this is our third or fourth summer with it. But it's been enjoyable for me, and I just thought this would be a nice spot. Unfortunately, I hope you don't hear the beeping in the background. Anyway, here I am. And I'm not going to lie and tell you that this is easy for me right now, because it's not. My heart is racing a little bit as I speak with anxiety of doing this again, because I have found that taking this break, yet being good for me to be a little quiet, yet harmful because it's hard to come back to doing this again after taking a break. And so my anxiety is a little racing and I'm a little nervous again to be in front of you all again. But I'm being real and I'm letting you know that that's part of my life. If I avoid something for too long, it brings anxiety back. So I pondered and thought, and I couldn't come up with anything. So I kept telling my husband, I just don't have it. I don't got anything. And he kept saying, that's okay. And I would stress, thinking I should probably get another video out, but nothing was coming to me. I didn't want to just put something out to put something out. I want it to be meaningful every single time I put a video out, and I just wasn't feeling it. So he decided last week to put one together, because it had been a while, and show something that I have gained back a little bit and found once again that I truly did think was lost, was that serenity that I found being on the water. I've always loved water and nature, and I have managed to find that again. And so it's been a wonderful thing for me. I want to talk to you today a little bit about what PTSD looks like for me and for most people that suffer from it. Seems like that's the thing that I've been dealing with a lot lately for the last several months, is my reoccurring PTSD and a lot of things that have come up that addresses it, and I need to deal with it head on. So I thought that would be a good topic to try to shine some light on today. What people don't understand is what PTSD truly is. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be someone that's served in the military and been under battle and seen some devastating things. A lot of them come back with PTSD, exactly, and that's huge and it's devastating. But PTSD can be anything in our life that causes trauma and causes us a moment where we feel helpless and hopeless and stranded and alone. And sometimes it can be what some would view a small thing, sometimes what some might view a large thing. It seems like, for me, a lot of things that I'm coming across lately have caused PTSD. Going to places where I might run into people that I don't necessarily want to run into people, or going somewhere where I have some bad memories of things that have happened that cause me to relive them when I see those certain places or people. Revisiting actually a city that I had something pretty dramatic happen to me in my life can cause me PTSD. I'll give you an example. A little story about me. This one's going to be a hard one to get out, so bear with me, please, because this is a huge moment in my life that has caused a huge rift. I used to, when I was little, live with my birth mother, Her and my dad separated when I was quite young. I was the youngest of three. My two older siblings went with my father, and I stayed with my mother. I lived with her for a few years. She was going with this woman, and I loved this woman immensely. She always took time and spent with me. She was a mother to me. She spent time with me and played games with me, and she spoiled me, believe it or not. It was really awesome. I remember my birthday party one year that I wanted a Cookie Monster cake, and she made sure that I got a Cookie Monster cake, and I had friends over and we had a party, and the Cookie Monster was holding on to this big chocolate chip cookie, and everybody wanted it, and she made sure that nobody else could have it but the birthday girl. And so she made sure I got that chocolate chip cookie. She was a wonderful woman and a wonderful motherly type figure to me. And I don't remember a whole lot of things that my birth mother would do with me during that time. I just remember a lot of things that she did with me during that time. And they broke up, and she was moving out, and I was really, really sad, and I wanted to go with her. But of course, she wasn't my mom, so I couldn't go with her. It really affected me, and it made me sad. So I don't know if that spurred on the next event. I don't know. But I remember I was in kindergarten, and I used to walk to and from school. We lived in a town that was a bigger city. I remember one day coming out of the building, getting ready to walk home with some friends, and looking up, and on the side of the road in front of the school was my father. And that was an odd sight because my father was never there. My father lived in a totally different city with my stepmother, and I didn't see my father at the end of the school day. I always walked home, but my father was there, and all my belongings were in the back seat of the car. And he told me that I was going to live with him. Oh, okay. So the trip put me in the car, and on we left, and we went to my new home. What has affected me since, as the years have gone by, is the feeling of abandonment. Because see, what didn't happen on that day is I got up that morning expecting to come home and see my mother and have a normal day. I didn't see my mother that day. I didn't go home that day. She didn't say goodbye, and she never told me that I was going to go live with my father. I've been told since that she put all my stuff on the side of the road, and my dad had to pick it up off the side of the road when he was packing me up before he came and got me. So where does the PTSD come in? I have since gone back to that city, and just driving through that city, the first time going back after all of this stuff started surfacing again, caused a major panic attack. Wasn't down the same roads, wasn't down the same streets I used to walk and the places I used to go, but it was just in the same city. The feelings of abandonment and that I wasn't good enough and that I wasn't loved or cared for and I wasn't wanted, came flooding back like it just happened that same day. It completely overwhelmed me, and I had a panic attack. And that's what PTSD does. It's as if you are reliving that moment again and again and again, even though it's years later. It's very real. The feelings are as strong as they were then. It may not make any sense to anybody else, but to those who suffer from PTSD, it is really, really hard to break that cycle. If you know anybody that deals with PTSD, I beg you to please be patient with them and to please be understanding with them, because they're trying their very, very best to get through a very difficult moment. And it seems like I'm reliving a lot of things lately that are affecting me in a major way. So I wanted to share a little bit and shed a little bit of light on what that particular mental illness looks like. We just need gentle reminders that we're not there in that moment anymore. We need love and acceptance. We need someone to hold our hand and walk with us and to accept us as we are and not for who they want us to be. I feel like I've had so many things I've wanted to say and yet can't seem to find the words to say them. So I hope this came out good and you understand a little bit better and can help someone around you. For me, I try to wear and have things around that are representations of things. I have a necklace on that I wear that says my story isn't over yet, with a semicolon. I have a tattoo that says fear with a semicolon after it, and that stands for face everything and rise. I also wear a bell as a necklace sometimes. And the reason for the bell is years ago, there was an insane asylum that was called Bedlam. And the reason why it was called Bedlam is because you could hear the moans and groans and screamings and yellings of the patients that were in there. And the horrific treatment that happened there was just unreal. It was really not a way to treat human beings. And what they did was, years later, when it closed down, they took the shackles that held patients. Yes, shackles that held the patients, not prisoners, patients. And they melted them down. And they turned them into bells to represent that we not live in the silent anymore of mental illness, that we share what we are experiencing and what has gone on in our history, and we don't hide it anymore, and we're loud about it as the bell would be. So some of these things I wear and that I have to remind me of these things, so when I am dealing with stuff, I can see them and remind myself that this is important, that I must continue to do this, and that I must help spread the word, and I must start the discussion and continue it. So please share with me if there is something that you use to remind yourself of things that you want to keep your mind focused on. Help us with the conversation. Help share it. Get it out, so those who do suffer no longer feel alone or ashamed. Thank you.